We have a company called Sports Management Australia. I'm the CEO and founder. We're an 8-year-old company with our partners being in the USA. But we specialise in a couple of areas. We run 12 different sports across Australia. We also run those camps up into Southeast Asia. We run some major events in Thailand for all the British international schools. We do a lot of sports tours, inbound, outbound from the US and into Asia, and then we also manage tennis venues. So that's overall what our business does, and obviously I'm the CEO of that company. I've seen probably all sides of sport, from being an athlete, being a coach, being an administrator, and I think it goes back to my junior days as a tennis player and the opportunities that I may have had or I may have missed out on. Back then it was very ranking based. But I've travelled throughout Asia and Europe and the US playing on the professional circuit at a lower level. My career ended up being pretty short due to a car accident. Then I basically went into business and I had a sports store. And then I launched my own tennis academy in Southeast Asia and Sydney Park. After that, then I worked for the governing body, Tennis New South Wales, where I moved up the ranks, commercial manager, was a general manager for a little while. I headed up athlete development, I headed up venue management. So I guess my experience across being an athlete, being an administrator, being involved with events, and seeing that there was a need for a company to, provide different opportunities for different athletes at different stages of their life, because every athlete develops at different ages. Some are really good at 14, some are really good at 20, and I think that's where we decided to start this business to provide those opportunities. Yeah, it's interesting how we're involved with baseball, and obviously the connection is, my son plays baseball and he's moving up the ranks slowly. So I think there's been a connection there for a while. And just through our sports camps, we've been partnering baseball in New South Wales for the last 4 or 5 years on the camps basis. So, I've got to know the sport pretty well. I got to see where there's obviously some maybe areas that we could help the sport. And obviously the Blue Sox, came about. We've been talking about it for a little while now. So it's just not new. And I just saw that we could help this sport, and I thought we could help this team really progress and get to that next level and showcase what baseball is like in Sydney and more across Australia, because it's a fantastic sport. We're aligned to one of the biggest sports in the US and also Japan, and I think sometimes it doesn't resonate a lot with the general public, but it is a major sport, and I hope that what we're going to do with the Blue Sox will take that sport to the next level. The whole philosophy for us with this team is to build a great culture within. And I know there's some pros and cons with, some teams, attracting more overseas players to come and compete for them. But I think for me is that I predominantly want this to be a team full of Australians and young Australian kids to bring them up through the ranks, because I see that there's a lot of good kids here that may miss out on a position in some of these teams because there are so many other players coming from overseas. And yes, we do need to have those players in the team, and it's great for the young Australians, but I want us to be more of an Australian team, and I want to be able to provide those kids an opportunity to showcase their skills on, not just the local scene, but hopefully internationally. And that's going to be our philosophy going forwards. But I want to create a really good culture. I want to, have these players be involved with us long term. I don't want to have players just coming in and out, because you don't build anything, around that. I want to get a great connection with all the clubs. So these players that have come from those clubs, I want to have a great connection so those clubs can come and see those players that have been playing for them for 5, 10 years. So there's a connection. And I guess that's where we're coming from. So it's that whole connection with the baseball community. It's a great culture. And I look at other sports like the GWS Giants, and when they started, it was always about a 5-year plan. Let's get the culture right. Let's groom young players and you can see now that they're being very successful, and I think that's what the Blue Sox philosophy is going to be. I think Jason and Tony are very much on this wavelength, and their philosophy is also around giving Australian kids an opportunity. Tony's a well-known scout, and he's always looking out for Australian kids to go to the US, and obviously, Jason's been involved with Baseball New South Wales from a high performance point of view, so he's seen these players come through, but I don't think there's always been an avenue for them to go that next level, and I think now that we've decided that we want to have a lot of Australian young kids in this team, I think now there's going to be a lot more opportunities, but definitely Tony and Jason are well known in the baseball arena, and I think this is going to be a really strong team. We might not win every game, but that's not really what our goal is for this year. It's really about to give these guys an opportunity, build a great culture, and let's see what happens year 2, year 3, year 4. That's where you're going to see that we're going to be in the winning circle. Everybody's got different views on fan experience, but one thing that I have learned over the years, baseball games are, they're going for a lot of hours. You're not just there for an hour. What you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of activation for kids, and engaging the kids. And it might be throwing baseballs to see what their fastest pitch is, or hitting. And we're going to have different bats there for kids to try, and different activities. And I think you're going to see a lot of activation. So all the kids are happy. I think we're going to demonstrate some, good food offerings. I think we're going to theme different weekends. Might be a Mexican weekend, or it might be a KFC weekend, or there's going to be different opportunities to theme the weekends. And some, really good merchandise. And I know there's been, merchandise over the years, but you're going to just see some little different things. I think where our focus is a little bit around the US, and what do the kids get, different pins and different sorts of hats. We're going to have like a leisure merchandise display as well, so it's not just going to be the Blue Sox traditional logo. We're going to have a different logo for some of the merchandise, so that's going to be cool. And we're going to create a little bit more, opportunities for families to come to the baseball. Like you're not just buying a ticket. We're actually going to have a designated section for families. It's called Family Hill, and people will be able to buy just a ticket there. It's going to be a little bit lower cost, but they'll be able to sit there on the hill, still watch the baseball. The kids are going to, have lots of activity. So I think that's going to be the difference for year 1. Obviously, we've got some other ideas for year 2 and year 3, but we're going to start somewhere, and you'll see some different things at the park, different look and feel. I think you're going to see a real connection with the clubs and the players, and I think we want to highlight that. So when you're walking into the venue, you're going to see the team list up on a wall. You're going to see what club they were from. So you're going to see that connection. So I think it's going to be exciting. Yeah, so obviously there's going to be some announcements over the next 6 to 8 weeks, with players and different coaching staff that's coming on board, and we'll start to flag, the new logo that's going to go on the leisure wear, and I think that's going to create, some excitement. But yeah, there'll be some announcements, during the season, and I think, the fans are going to love it. And we just hope everyone has a great time at the ballpark, and that's what it's about. I mean, I think it's not just about watching the game, it's really about what's the atmosphere off the field, and I think that's a focus of ours. And it's going to be a great season. Hopefully that COVID stays away, and we can have our 20 home games for all our fans.